Hi, welcome to Art of Academia, a weekly podcast featuring interviews with leading scientists and insider takes on life in academia, hosted by Komal and Madan, researchers from Cancer Science Institute, Singapore.
What's up?
What's up?
I ask you first. How's life?
We can start with why we don't have a second camera today.
Do we have to start with that? Okay, I guess. What happened? What was the occasion? Oh yeah, it was a friend's birthday. We were at East Coast Park, which is a nice barbecue spot by the ocean. There were some drinks involved. The plan was to just wet my feet and come back to shore. But one of our overly enthusiastic friends dragged me in with my phone in my pocket. At first I thought I salvaged it. I put it in a box of rice as per, the
universal
ancient
advice.
wisdom. And the thing was, it seemed like it worked because when I could turn on, it turned on.
Yeah.
And only like the bottom tiny sliver of the bottom portion of the screen was gone.
Yeah.
The rest was working. I was like, oh, given all that happened, I'll take it. But I left it like that. I went to bed and then I woke up next morning and it spread. Yeah, maybe if I hadn't turned it on and if I left it in rice for longer.
Probably. How long did you leave it for?
This was like 2 days, I think, already.
What
for a
more
day
can
and a
you
half.
do?
For a day and a half.
Okay.
It did say 48 hours.
I see. Oh, so like you're saying those 12 hours is what made the difference?
I don't know. Maybe you could have. Maybe you could have, right?
Okay.
Because
it's just like now gone for good.
it still works, but the screen is like mostly unusable. So at first, only it was gone, but the touch was still working. And because I could see, everything was fine. Now I
Yeah.
can't see anything.
Yeah.
So then
And,
what
what's
will
the
I
point?
touch? Yeah. Sounded wrong, but
Yeah.
yeah. So now I'm making do with a friend's phone.
Mm.
It wasn't as disruptive as I thought.
What is the biggest thing? Because I got reminded of, I think I had lived without a phone for 2 days at one point when my phone also crashed and stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it. Obviously, there are problems, but then it's just really, I felt like it freed me a lot.
Okay, wow. I
Yeah.
don't know if I would go that far.
Because I guess I use phone more than you also.
Do you?
there's a bit more than you for sure.
Okay. For me, the main thing was not being able to pay stuff
Oh, because I
use
pay using my card.
Ah.
Yeah, boomer.
So I use my phone for everything, right? Like
Yeah.
Payla, the
Yeah.
MRT.
Yeah.
So I had to withdraw cash,
Oh
and I'm
God.
handling
You went to,
in
like,
cash.
storage and stuff, it
Yeah,
seems.
that felt weird. I'm like, whoa, I have to give you cash, and they're gonna give me coins, and I have
What
to
am I
keep the
going to do
coins.
with that?
Yeah, that was the main disorienting part.
That's a big one, yeah.
I mean, true, I did go, I guess, 2 or 3 days without WhatsApping people. For a while, I was working on my computer, so that was fine.
Yeah.
But in between, I got signed out. So not too long, maybe 1.5 day, pretty much. I went without texting people. But this happens on any weekend,
Yeah,
Some
that's
weekend.
normal.
Yeah.
Like there have been weekends where I'm just like, okay, Madan's dead.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes I would just mentally switch off. So it wasn't that different. Yeah, I thought it would be way more disruptive, but
Yeah.
it wasn't somehow.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What else? My teaching thing is back.
Yeah,
This
how?
new
I thought you
semester.
were done.
Yeah,
New
I was done. This
semester.
is the new semester. So that happened. It is pretty long again, like 12 to 5, 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
long ass practical too.
It is. But I was just thinking it definitely energizes me. Like I feel physically and even mentally tired, but I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like I think I do like this. And it's also, of course, the difference in the thing that you're doing. Of course, it's a very different thing. You're teaching, you're engaging with students. It's just completely different from your normal research. That's one. But also, I guess, just engaging with more people as opposed to just doing your thing by yourself, on your own. I definitely like that quite a bit. So yeah, I guess again going back to our scenes episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that is really something that gives me energy and like motivation.
Yeah, teaching is something I've overlooked. I feel like I would enjoy it. I've done it a very little bit in the past, and they were all mostly positive experiences.
Yeah. It could be like, again, like for me, it's the same content now. So initially I was a bit like, this is the same thing again. Like I will have to go over it again and again. Would this still be fun? But I think it's really about talking to this particular student and, giving the concepts or whatever, and then like just helping them out. And they're also nice. Like I reach and then I just connected in like a few hours time. So that's fun. They look up to you. They're like, just obviously, they're having fun as well.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
Is it like they divide them up into groups and each group
Yeah.
gets one TA or something?
So I think there's like 70 students.
Wow,
It's
big
a
class.
huge practical session. Yeah, it's a huge lab as well. And everyone gets like 10, 12 students. So I have 12 students.
And will that be same for next
Yeah.
classes? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So last time also I had 10 students, and you could bond with them a bit.
Yeah.
By the
Over
end
the
of it, they know
semester.
you, and then obviously you know them.
For sure.
You can figure out what they like and like how their mind works and all. So I find that interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Did you have any teaching responsibilities in your PhD?
That there also it was not required, but I just chose to supervise. So there actually it was even more one-on-one. So for that was not practical. That was a normal course, and you would do supervisions. So every supervisor would only get 2 to 4 students.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay.
And then you teach them once a week.
What are you teaching
It's
them?
lecture stuff. So they
Why is the class so small?
No, the whole class is like, of course, whatever, 50 to 100 students. But there are so many supervisors.
I
And
see.
then this is just to like enhance the teaching experience for them. I guess like they're paying big bucks, so they're getting some of it. I don't know what they got from me, but
Okay.
so there you're really going through the lectures, and then you give them tutorial questions. They would write essays and all that you have to grade, which I was not so good at because I didn't know what they were looking for because I hadn't studied there.
Right.
I tried my best. It was nice. Again, those 2 students super smart. The students are so smart.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite nice.
Interesting. Because CSI here doesn't have a teaching requirement, and in fact, it's kind of like, I mean, which is, if you talk to other NUS students, they will talk about this mostly as a good thing, which I kind of agree, I guess, because sometimes the teaching can become like quite a pain, right?
Yeah.
In the scholarship, the normal NUS scholarship requires like 400 plus hours of teaching
Yeah.
for international students,
Yeah.
which can be quite burdening, right?
Absolutely.
But I do feel like I am like missing out on the teaching aspect because it was not enforced. I never asked for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe I should volunteer for some.
I understand that. Like, especially if it becomes like you need to do this kind of thing, you would not have. Maybe some people will still enjoy it, but still it just becomes like a more of a burden.
100%. I know people for whom it was required and they still did a lot of it because they liked it. But now it's almost the other way around, where there's a friend of mine who is trying to do some teaching, but she's getting actively discouraged by the department.
Oh,
Just like
just couldn't get
Singapore administration being Singapore administration, because like it's not required, right? Then why do you want to do
what the
that
hell?
I mean, this is standard for anything you want to do outside your PhD. You know, there is even pushback if you want to take extra modules. It's like you
told
only
me
need
about this. This is ridiculous, dude.
you only need 6 modules. Why are you taking extra? I'm
Yeah,
like,
your PhD is like getting wisdom and getting like learning things.
Exactly.
You're
And
stopping
I'm like-
someone from doing that.
and I'm telling them, bro. I mean, okay, even this requirement of this needs to be super relevant to your project, I don't accept. Because how the hell do you even know, right?
Yeah.
The way you like come up with ideas is like you look at things that are interesting
Yeah.
and then you might find something, right? And you might not, but
Here
that's part
you're
of the
like just
process.
structuring it in like such a
Yeah, and
key way.
and for me, even modules where it was relevant, I had a tough time convincing them that I want to do this.
I don't like that at all.
And I mean, this one, I might get cancelled for this, but all the mandatory modules were kind of shitty, right? Like, personal opinion, I'm not making a broad claim.
Like, I would like to attend a nice course. Just like that. Be it anything, but a long term. It's not just like one lecture, but like a proper course, the way we used to have in undergrad, and where the lecturer is a good storyteller, or like, they are excited about what they're doing, and I just want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
For a bit. That would be fun.
Yeah.
You can do online, but just in person is something else. Don't know. We'll
No.
see when I can figure that out.
100%, yeah.
Do you have any suggestion?
Um,
I'm not even like looking at anything specific.
the ethics module was actually really good, but I was kind of, so it was bioethics, because I still had to keep it relevant, right? Like, oh, how crazy it would be if I went to the philosophy department to take a module as a biology PhD student. Scandal. The first half of the module was introduction to all these concepts, and then the second half was like the applied part. Like, how do you apply that to biology, which is the boring part. But it was such a good module. Like, the lecturer was so nice. You could tell that he cared about it.
Yeah.
And the reason I liked it also, it was quite different from the other modules we take here. So I guess philosophy modules tend to be, at least this one was, reading heavy. So they will like give you some material that you have to read before the lecture. And fair enough, I didn't always do this, but for all the classes where I did do that, I was just so engaged in the lecture, right? Because I'm already primed for the lecture, and the lecture itself is more of a discussion. It's not really teaching. So that concept was very nice. I feel like it was very productive.
Nice.
I had very
That sounds fun.
good time in the module. It might even be my like favorite module I have
All time.
ever taken. Period.
I think my all-time favorite was, I think I mentioned this also, the quantum physics one.
Yeah, I remember.
This guy, Ogle, very nice guy. Like super old, but the energy he had. Even other guys, I think I wasn't great at math, but like some of the math guys were so nice.
True.
And physics, Sudarshan. Oh my god, such amazing teachers.
Physics teachers, they are very hit or miss, I feel like. Like sometimes they are like rock stars, other times they are just like...
Yeah, this is like one baldy and like, it's such a cool guy he was. The things he would say and like, just amazing. He was amazing. Yeah.
From school and even from undergrad, I do remember physics professors quite disproportionately.
Some biology professors were nice as well. This guy who taught developmental biology, that was very interesting. The way he portrayed stories again, I think. Yeah, pretty cool. What else did I like? Some modules I slept through.
Most modules I slept through. Okay, so we start. Okay, I mean today should be not very long because we're just going over one article by house favorite Venkatesh Rao. I feel like I need to diversify, man. I have 4 people. Actually, no, reverse was there. 5 people that I cite all the time.
It's okay.
Anyway, so this one, I read it a while ago, and then I find myself coming back to this quite often. And I've shared snippets of this with you as well. So once I start talking about it, you'll know what it is. But the title is The Resourceful Life. And he's basically defining a type of person who basically lives this resourceful life. And it's a couple of things. I think I might not nail it nicely, so I will have the link, so people can read it. But my sort of summary is somebody who doesn't ask for meaning from the work that they do to do the work. Like to them, like there is no contemplation necessary. Like the thing is just worth doing by default, and they never stop to ask why or what. So very, very broadly, that's the definition of a resourceful person. There's some examples that will explain why the word resourceful was chosen, but that's like the base thing, right? And he's contrasting that with someone who's more of a philosopher type. So someone who is, I guess, contemplating things, thinking, is this worth doing? Is this the best thing I could be doing? Blah, blah, blah.
I'm actually confused. Till now, I thought that resourceful is the one who is thinking about implications and thinking about outcomes.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah, so the resourceful
because
person...
The word resource is there.
Yeah. It maybe not the best word, but I can see why he chose it. We'll get to that.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. Go on.
Yeah, so he's just contrasting these 2 types of people. And obviously, like most things tend to be with this discussion, the final answer will be like, you need a balance, right? But I think he comes from a place where he is more of the philosopher kind. So he is like really, I guess, attacking fellow philosophers with this article, which I quite liked because I also relate to the philosopher type. And it's just nice to like, take the piss at your own type of people. Like it's easy, like it's nice. It can be reflective. Okay, let's just dive in. I'll read out some highlights. Okay, this is the part about the resourcefulness. So why resourcefulness? He says resourcefulness is a steady, patient, problem-solving persistence, a seemingly infinite capacity for a kind of trial and error that non-resourceful people would find impossibly draining and exhausting. Okay, non-resourceful people, they are easily disheartened by the overwhelming weight of everyday annoyances and practical problems. That require like some effort that must be devoted to solve them. To like such non-resourceful people, these things that get in the way, they are seen as a tax on life rather than as a part of it. So to them, when you're like solving these practical problems or whatever that he calls as being resourceful, you're not really living, right? It's kind of like an annoyance. Is that making sense?
I think I might take some time to
Maybe,
digest
yeah.
what's happening. But go on.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't want it to become like, because you do have to read it. It is like a dense one. So that's why I'm like seeing how you react to it as well. So I guess with this part, right? He's saying if you're a
Are
resourceful.
there any examples on the way?
There are examples.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're a painter that's creating like a revolutionarily new kind of painting that requires like a specific shade of blue, but then you find out that color is just out of stock everywhere. So now suddenly you have a resourcefulness problem of getting that paint. It's no longer a problem of like making something
Okay.
very imaginative.
That helps.
Right? It's about getting that paint which you can't find anywhere. So he's saying non-resourceful people would find these kind of things like super annoying and like probably just give up or or find it very draining. But he's contrasting that with if you were actually a resourceful person, this would not even occur to you that this is a problem that's worth solving, because like life is like fundamentally worth living. So all these things are like part of it. Don't even question it, and you just like get it done. So yeah, that's I guess the distinction, right?
Then what about, so where are the philosophers now?
Okay, so where are the philosophers?
If you're
Alright.
talking about resourceful versus non-resourceful.
Yes. So I guess non-resourceful, of the non-resourceful, one extreme are the philosopher, but they might be equivalent. So non-resourceful might just be all philosopher types. So why philosopher? I guess this is also another way to define this thing. So this is like a small tangent, but it's have you heard, who was this who said it? Socrates or Aristotle or whoever said that the unexamined life is not worth living. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of this. Did you send it to me at some point?
I sent it to you, but I didn't coin it.
I know, but where did I read it? Or I just read it on the app, maybe. I've heard of this. Yes.
Right. So the unexamined life is not worth living. Basically, if you want to live a good life, you should like think about your life, examine it, right? But he twists that and he says that it's actually the philosopher's conceit that the unexamined life is not worth living. In fact, yeah, so resourceful people, right? To them, a life fully lived is not worth examining. So it's not that, he's basically flipping it on its head. It's like the philosopher who has to like examine things and then find some meaning. The resourceful person has no need for that. Like he's already living life to its fullest. So then like there is no need for examination, I guess. And that's actually the essence of this article, and that's what I was like really vibing with.
Yeah.
I
I don't know where I stand, man. It's a painful one, I feel.
It's a painful one.
Yeah, to make a stand here. Of course, you need a balance, as you mentioned in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start here. Where do you think you fall on the spectrum?
I feel like I could be on both sides for different things.
Fair
I feel
enough.
like, for example, for research and stuff, or like on the day-to-day basis things that I'm doing, I feel like I want implication. I've discussed this also with you a few times. I can't be like, okay, for example, right now I'm solving this problem. I'm engaged in it. I'm not thinking about anything else, like what's happening, where this is going, blah, blah, blah. I'm engaged in the problem. This is now. But if I zoom out, I do want it to reach somewhere. I do, and it's not a publication, but it is some sort of an implication anywhere. Patience, blah, blah, but that's not happening, obviously. That's a different tangent. But on the other hand, for example, with things like art, there I think I do not care as much. There
Okay.
I'm really just in the process and just enjoying it and not thinking about making it reach somewhere. Even though actually in retrospect, I do think that I will sell it for charity and stuff, but I guess that's not what I'm thinking while I'm doing
While
it.
you're doing it, yeah. And you would do it even if you couldn't sell it for
Yeah.
charity. Even if someone told you that this is never going to be sold for charity, you would still do it.
Yeah, because I'm doing it anyways. Like
Yeah,
right now, this
exactly.
is like in the future, maybe if I can, I would. But right now, I'm just doing it for the fun of it. And there's like other things also that I do with the same mindset. That's why I feel like I sort of lie on both sides. Yeah.
So what do you think makes these two things different? One is obviously like how much you enjoy it, I guess, like the actual process of doing it as opposed to seeing the finished results or whatever. I guess the other thing is also maybe your skill level. I feel like, for me at least, things where my skill level is like meeting what is required of the task, that tends to feel good, right? Like if you're always sucking at the thing that you do for very long, obviously that's not going to be rewarding. And with research that can happen very often.
Yeah.
Like you try so many things and they're all like long ass experiments. It's
Yeah.
not a few minutes or few hours, right? And you just feel like you're not up to the task.
True.
So
I
maybe
think
that's one reason.
It was seriously just yesterday. I was about to text you also that that like, how are people doing biology research? Everything is so damn complicated.
Yeah.
I was just looking at some inhibitors for epigenetic remodelers to test whatever I was testing, but they can do so many things.
Yeah.
Like whatever you test, there could be so many other factors that would explain the phenotype that I see. So just how? And I was just like, okay, yeah, just in a weird situation, I guess. Yeah, just adding to the point that it is really hard.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that is one difference, right? So with things where easy, you enjoy doing it, maybe that can be where you can do it without a lot of reflection or whatever. But with the more difficult, challenging stuff, maybe you need like this plan as a
That is a possibility.
as a scaffold, to like make you get through it on the days where it's not really fun to do the thing.
That's true. Actually, I don't know how I'm going to link this up, but basically right now some of the students in the lab are going through their PQE thing. So they have to go through meetings and prepare slides and prepare a lot of things for their exam. And it, obviously you have to go through it, but it just does not seem fun from the outside. And it just feels like all you're trying to do is just wrap up whatever you have and then just try to sell it to someone and make arguments that, okay, whatever I'm doing is okay. I mean, I understand it is a requirement, but I just feel like what? Yeah, again, I'm not sure where I'm going with this.
No, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I'm also a bit lost. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I guess I was trying to go with the fact that and just enjoying what you're doing versus where it would be like really just doing research and just trying to solve problems versus now having to do all these things as requirements. I understand, but then that sort of breaks the fun, and then that sort of brings in the requirement of plans and implications and like all of these things that are needed by a philosopher kind of person here, I guess.
Yeah. That does make sense. You know what? The other weird thing. I mean, this is obviously more on the pro side to the philosopher kind. It's that if you're not resourceful about a problem, you can't just become resourceful. Like that's not a thing, I think, right? Like, so even though we're talking about this in the thing where we are dissing on the philosopher types and saying this is nice, if you're not one, I don't think you can just assume to be one, right? So that's something worthy to keep in mind. I'm saying that to myself as well whenever I like talk about these things. Even though I think some resourcefulness will be good for me, like I don't think I can just decide or even aspire to be more resourceful. Right?
Yeah, I mean, this is also what I said when you texted about this to me, right? That it is the contemplation and it is the reflection that actually gives importance and meaning and happiness to the things that we do. If you did something or like, something is happening, you sit, you contemplate, you reflect on it, that is when that thing becomes something. Or you're maybe just living through it, but I mean, just giving it some more importance and giving it some value that, or is that not a good thing?
No, that's a good thing. Like there are definitely things that you can you can look back on and then they give you a lot of joy, I suppose, right? I guess just looking back on good memories or maybe even accomplishments and stuff that will make you like feel good, and like you should do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't celebrate whatever you've done. I guess for me, where I was more annoyed at, I was in a phase where I was making a lot of plans to do things. Like I should do this, as usual, right? Just having a lot of different plans, but then not being able to execute them in some ways, like getting stuck very often, which is the strange thing with planning, because if I didn't do that, whatever little bit effort I was putting in also would not happen. Right? So if I completely stop the plans, I don't think I would now just drastically become super efficient at like doing whatever things I touch. That's not going to happen. But at the same time, the planning is also the thing that restricts you because you spend so much time planning.
Yeah.
You have less time to like do things.
Yeah.
So it's just
and
like
I mean,
a
and
weird.
also the expectations that's set up by all those plannings.
Exactly.
You know, you're like,
And
okay,
then-
by the end of this month, I'm doing blah, 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 but
Yeah.
only blah has happened.
Exactly, right? So you will invariably like, come short of your expectations. And then that's another source of like annoyance in your life.
Yeah.
But I think there is no like resolution to this. You just have to like, you just have to do that. Like that's just how things are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Like-
today morning itself, like Sam was saying, he was saying something
Nice.
along the lines of like, of course, the whole thing or the whole guided meditation thing happened, and then at one point he's just like, okay, in this moment, just think that you do not want anything. What you have right now, what is now, is enough. And he
Yeah.
says this a lot of times, and
Yeah.
you believe in it also while he's saying that and while you are in that state. But like once you sort of get out of it, or even while that is happening, you just feel like if I really stop this want for anything, like I'm not talking about monetary things, obviously, I'm not talking about houses and blah blah blah, but ambitions.
Yeah.
This is a discussion we have had, I don't know now how many times.
Multiple different flavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I just every time that happens, that guy says about anything like this, I feel very conflicted. I feel very like, if I really stop having my aims, my ambitions for good things, whatever I find good, then how will I grow? How will I
Yeah.
go and do something more, something better for myself, for people around me, if I just be what I am?
Okay, good point. Because that's something I have like, struggled with a bit as well. But the funny thing is, okay, how about letting go of them momentarily? How do you feel about that? Like
That's
for
fine.
those 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's okay.
I do
That's
that.
totally okay.
I do that, yeah.
I see. So you're more saying that you don't want to give it up, like give it
Because
up,
the
give it
whole
up.
point is to sort of, start getting these ideas and start getting these emotions
Yeah.
through normal life. But like, I guess the other sort of solution is that you do still make those plans. So for example, if I want to be an artist, if I want to have whatever that I'm planning on, do those things.
Yeah.
Work for them. But in case they don't work out, be ready to, face those failures. And you're not so attached to those emotions that if I don't become this, I'm a failure. Don't have that in mind, I guess.
Yeah.
And just try to navigate again. Try to, get away from, like, sort of forward from there. Wherever you go, take different direction. different
Yeah.
route.
I mean, so, okay. I mean, for me, right, I don't know, this was again in this phase of like, really where these things had peaked, where there was a lot of plans and I was doing pretty badly across all of those plans, right? So I was super annoyed with myself of like, I want to do this, but it's just not happening. I'm not able to do it. I don't want to do it. That happens sometimes. And then the thing that, so I had this thought, right? Exactly what you said of, you have these plans, but you have to be like kind to yourself when you don't, make them or something. But the thing is, that kind of insight, it doesn't like remove the annoyance that you will get in the future when that happens again. Like, yes, you will be reminded of yourself and maybe you'll calm yourself down or later, but it still happens. You still get irritated when your plans don't like, work as they should.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy, dude. And that's what I was saying. Like after that I think this was like a weekend ago or something, I just gave up. I'm like, I'm done, dude. This is how life's gonna be. You're gonna make plans, you're gonna fuck up, and then you're gonna make plans again, and then you're gonna fuck up again.
Yeah.
And this is like ad infinitum.
Yeah.
I keep going,
Yeah.
and then just be okay with it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that is life.
That is life.
That is
This
it.
should not be life. Who designed life like this? This is ridiculous.
But then again, like for example, you made this plan and
Yeah.
you really reached it.
Yeah.
And then you finished whatever you were doing. Then what's the idea? You reach it and then you make new plans? What
Yeah,
happens there? Or you
that
just
would
like
be-
really stay there and that is the end of it?
No, I know. I'm saying it's not avoidable. Like,
Yeah.
what will I do once all my plans are accomplished? I will make
Exactly.
more plans.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just happening with
Yeah.
like some higher failure rate, I guess, than you would
Just-
want.
Yeah, but it just feels like such a shitty baseline. Like, who designed things like
But
this?
again, like out of those 10 plans, 10 dreams,
Yeah.
2 get satisfied. I
Hmm.
think that's still a victory. If you didn't make any of those plans, those things won't happen.
Yeah, 100%. No, I guess I should have emphasized this. With all of this conversation, I'm not saying
I know,
stop
I know,
making
I know.
plans.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Yeah.
not obviously a way forward. Okay. Somehow.
Yeah, actually, we were just watching this show called Sapne versus Everyone. It's a TVF series, I think. We just watched one episode, very long and like very slow burning show. But quite nice. As you understand from the name, it means dreams versus everyone. So all the characters are just like all these people who have some side dreams. For example, one guy who is just working and like getting grinded in the job, but he wants to be an actor. So he goes, but now he can't go for practices because his job is just so demanding, this, that. And at the end of the episode, it's like his childhood is shown, where his teacher, I think he really admires this teacher. That guy was also quite a good actor. He is asking all these kids, what do you want to become? What is your dream? And at that point, the kid doesn't respond. I think he's just like in his own world. He's not saying anything. But the teacher is saying that it's okay if you don't have that dream now. But whenever you get that dream, you tell that dream to yourself every day. Actually, he starts with saying like tell that to people. Tell it to your parents, tell it to your friends, tell it to things. And then, most importantly, tell it to yourself. That's the part, like this is the gist of episode 1. But then we ended up asking this around in the house, like what were your dreams? And then people were like coming up with, I wanted to be this, I wanted to be that, which was quite cute. And then I guess people got a bit like, yeah, that didn't happen. That didn't end up happening. Like, I don't know what's happening now. But then like today morning only, I texted on the group that a corollary to like that episode 1 is just that it's never too late to dream. You can, like, I guess these are things that we have discussed quite a lot, and we still like, keep on making plans, keep on making like sort of random dreams. But it's not so normal for everyone, somehow, I feel.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they don't call it a dream. Maybe they call it like a, what do you call that? Like a OKR or,
What?
What's that? Objectives, key. It's like a very corporate lingo for having a goal of some sorts in life.
I see.
But like very corporatized.
I see. Is it the corporate world that is doing all this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't believe people. Like, I'm sure everybody has it, right? They're just not calling it like a dream or something.
Maybe. I don't know. I just found it quite interesting. And like I just felt like going and like, come on, you can have that dream and like let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of tangents.
But I don't think we were even coming back to this. I feel like it's not weighing in. I think like the essence of the article also was in some ways defining what this resourceful person is like. So you can, I guess at least I thought, okay, that might help us be more resourceful in some ways.
Yeah,
Let me just do
that.
those parts, right? Yeah. So again, and this comes again as defining it. So resourcefulness is a positive syndrome that combines patience, conscientiousness, curiosity, attentiveness, and most of all, energy. So he says, he thinks of it as indefatigable, which is like opposite of fatigueable, like not fatigue. So not only do resourceful people never run out of things to try, they seem to never run out of energy to actually try them, right? So again and again, often racking up dozens of failed trials before hitting upon a successful one. So this might sound like, there some heroic level of energy is needed, but he's not actually talking about that. Like what he's talking about is I'll just read it. So we're not talking about extraordinary levels of stamina or energy. We're not talking about like resilience even, which is the ability to not let setbacks get to you. And it's not even like next level willpower or emotional self-regulation. It's that they somehow seem to retain the motivation to keep going for far longer than most people without visibly trying, right? So this apparently is key. So if you are gritting your teeth, fighting back depression, anxiety, picking yourself and soldiering on, that's heroic stamina and resilience. If it never even occurs to you to give up, that's resourcefulness. So that's what he's defining it as. So this would be something like your art thing, right? Where you're doing that and you're not really like, even if, I don't know if this is like something that makes sense to you, but I can think of some things where I would have spent 6, 7, 8 hours continuously doing it. And if some outside person saw, or if they had to do it when they didn't want to do it, can totally imagine how that would have been like a hellish day that took a lot of effort. But in that moment, to me, it wouldn't even have occurred to me to like do something else. Like even though it's kind of hard work, but I'm just so engrossed in it that I don't even think of it as hard work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I guess trying to find that.
Yeah.
Again, you can't
Yeah.
force everything to be like that, right?
Exactly.
But maybe defining it is kind of helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the rest is like contrasting with the philosophy stuff, which we have overdone anyway.
Oh.
Anything you're looking forward to?
The India trip, I guess.
The concert?
The concert, yeah. I'm going to Coldplay concert. Very, very excited for that. Completely forgot about it. Yeah, that would be super fun. Do you have anything?
Things I'm looking forward to. Conferences, right? The one we are going to go to. I also applied to another EMBO one.
Where is it?
Here,
Oh,
Dennis is organizing.
Yeah, yeah.
That one. So this, I guess, we also mentioned a few times. I want to like get my work out a bit, get some feedback, talk to people.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people coming in the Lonavala one. I guess it would be useful.
Yeah, so that's interesting just to get some experience of sharing that, because I do feel like of all the aspects of PhD and research, that would be one thing that I am naturally good at, of like talking to people and sharing the story.
Oh, yeah.
So that might be actually nice,
true.
because the day job is so much of it is things you struggle at, right? Like doing experiments, fucking Western blots.
Oh, man. What other parts of PhD do you think you are above average? Not even, I mean, I don't want to say above average, but you think you're good at?
Yeah, no, it's a decent question. Let me think. So definitely the social aspect. I want to say the emotional regulation, if that's the thing.
I think it is a big thing. It's.
Yeah, 100%. I think
see a lot of people struggle so much.
Like, obviously, to me, that's like very fundamental and very important of like, you know, in my PhD. Like, if I had to say what was the one skill that the PhD has taught me, it's that of like how not to let your own expectations, but even other people's expectations weigh in on you and like cripple you from like doing good stuff. Definitely the most important thing I've learned. But
cool.
Like you said, it's super underappreciated. Like when other people see, they don't even realize that is missing in their stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think there are sort of two categories. One is just like really giving in on all these emotional struggles and just being like, yeah, this is it, and crying out, like literally crying out, and like really struggling on a day-to-day basis. Or I guess people just power through. They're like, fuck this shit. Like, I don't have time. I need to do this, so I need to do this.
Yeah.
And they don't think about things at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was kind of I was like, you know, getting to. It's like only if the thing works, you can be at peace. So either it works because, you know, you've like put in the ridiculous amount of time and it has worked and you can be at peace that it has worked, or it doesn't work and you're not at peace. But they don't even consider the option that it cannot work and you can still be at peace. I guess this is more of a value, not a skill, but like highly valuing independence, not even independence, but like needing to have my own thing. Like, I don't want to just go and like do someone else's project. It needs to be my project.
But can it be our project?
It can be our project, I guess. But I mean, more so in the sense that because the status, probably not true for all labs, but the default here is that there's an existing project in the lab. You go and pick that up and then you work on it, which I've just found not very appealing for some reason. And again, that causes problems, right? Which then means that you have to find your own thing, and you have to set everything up from scratch, which is definitely not easy and it takes its toll. But like, if I would go back and redo, I would still do it the same way. I think it's definitely worth it, because I cannot take on someone else's project and work on it like with 100%. So value difference. I don't know if that's a skill, probably not, but definitely difference in values. You?
I think the emotional angle that you mentioned, for sure. Again, another thing, of course, is starting from scratch, because that's something I did as well, and then taking it somewhere. And again, my PhD has been exceptionally challenging also because of all the move and all the things 100%. That happened. I think definitely I learned a lot of resilience. I learned a lot of... I got a lot of motivation as well, and like confidence as well, that I can do things. I think it really prepared me for challenges in general. If I can do this, I can do something new. I can do something like whatever you throw at me. At least I can try and then practice and then see how that goes. Which is, I think, a very important skill to have, which not normally all jobs would teach you.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, so because you're really here kind of by yourself. of course there are people around you to help you out, but still you are navigating. And this is like, okay, 3-4 years of time, and you're like just trying to go somewhere, doing different things, and it's a fun thing. Like you're sort of, it's like a game actually. Now if I think of it, it's a map.
in a way.
It's a big map, and then you're like really just going here, going there, and still trying to keep your morale. I think that's the major thing I learned. Self-learning.
Yeah. There's another, like a slightly different thing that is common to both of us, which is like basically trying to do at least both wet lab and dry lab, right? I think we sometimes underestimate the like cognitive load that takes, because experiments also, even if you have done some, you don't know how to do every experiment, right? There's so many things where you are learning from scratch how to do them. And same for programming. When we both started, we didn't know anything about programming. So we had to again learn that from scratch. So this is, in some ways, we have doubled the learning curve, right? So, and I feel like that's not something that's taken into account. Obviously, I guess people know that, and that's why they don't do it, or at least intuitively, they have a feeling of that, of oh, this is going to be a lot of work to do both. But for whatever reason, we chose both, right? And I feel, at least I don't give myself enough credit for the fact that we can do both.
That's true. As I mentioned, I feel like I'm not so great at research, but if I can figure that out and if I can learn well, then I think it's a fun place to be in.
Yeah. This is funny because even whenever I think about research, right, I don't think I'm good at research, right? My baseline assumption of myself is that I suck at research. But somehow I don't know where this confidence is coming from. It's like I will figure it out with time.
Yeah, right? Yeah. No, that's good. That is good. I think sometimes, I guess, being overconfident, this also we have discussed. You need to be sometimes just overconfident. Yeah. I'm going to figure this shit out, which I am with most things, I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course you should also, if you really think this is not, I mean, we had this conversation as well, but if you really think it's not for you, then it doesn't make sense to keep, doing something that doesn't work for you or something.
Yeah.
But there is, maybe I'm being arrogant or something, because to me, it doesn't occur to me to not do this at least. Maybe because I don't think there's something else I would rather do.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely one factor. And for me, I feel like I need to try more before making this call.
Same.
I need to try more.
I am still in that. 100%. I still feel like I have not. I was having this thought just today when I was doing some plots where it just feels so cavemanish. What am I doing? I'm not even engaging with the real problem. It's like one of those not even wrong answers kind of a situation. And I'm trying all this, it's getting quite technical, but kind of feeling clueless about the bigger picture. And then that's when it struck me that this was the exact same problem I had in masters. I had gone down some rabbit hole. I was trying to figure out something through my master's thesis, but then when I look back on it, it felt like this is not even the main it's not even a real problem almost in some ways. And that's why I was like, okay, I need to do a PhD, so that this time I can actually
spend more time, learn more things, and focus on a bigger problem for a longer amount of time.
And it's been 4 years and I still feel the same way. We still need more time.
That is just the nature of the thing. You just really need more time to really reach somewhere and take it somewhere as well. Right now also, whatever I have, there's just so many questions I still can ask. Kind of endless to make it reach at a big place, or not even big place, to really foolproof it. This is what I know and this is really true. There's just so much you need to do around it. Again, goes back to the complications of biology.
100%. And
not complication, complexity.
Yeah, no. This is, okay, I'm going to make a video game analogy. But, how some video games, the learning curve is just very steep. And this makes most people quit, because they can't learn and they can't be bothered with it. But then the few people that do stick it, of course you have to it is work and it is difficult and not everyone can do that. But once you've passed the learning curve, it doesn't continue to be difficult. Right? So, and I feel like I'm maybe there is no there, or maybe there will be, I don't know. But I am really looking forward to that effortless phase, if it does exist with research.
Right. I think it's not going to be effortless, but it's going to be these things happen, yes. Whatever these problems, struggles. Because, for example, 2 examples. One, I've done my PhD now, and I just taught some undergrads. And you can see what we were like 5-6 years ago. Clueless.
Yeah.
They don't know what is happening. They just been given like this protocol, this is what we are doing, okay, add this, add that, mixing wrong things, blah blah blah. Those are obviously technical things, but now we really understand all of it. It is, and now not only we know like a single protocol, but we know how to use this sort of protocol to answer specific questions. And the second example is of, for example, our PIs and our, for example, Liren as well. If things don't work for him, sometimes obviously he gets frustrated, but while we are discussing, we are like, oh, this is not working, and he's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it is. Things don't work a lot of times, and then you just really figure it out, and you don't let it affect you.
No, 100%. Like, look, I'm not even saying like you will become perfectly successful, right? There will continue to be setbacks, but I guess like right now and it's not that I've never felt it. There are phases when I felt it, but when I'm doing my research, like again, it goes back to that meme of this not even wrong answers phase, right? Those really feel fucking annoying when you're in the not even wrong phase, right? And the thing is, sometimes you don't know you're in the not even wrong. You think you're in the wrong or in the right, but like actually
maybe one more replicate and then it would solve it.
Exactly. But actually you're in the not even wrong. And I'm just wondering if there is a place where you can be where you're in the wrong or right, right? Which is like you have enough context, you have enough understanding that at least you're asking the right questions. You might get it wrong.
Absolutely,
that's totally fine.
That's true. Like just understanding, okay, this is the question I'm asking, this is what I'm going to do, and then being able to think about the factors that are involved, and if this question is really stupid.
Yeah.
No, don't ask that question.
That would be amazing. But I guess that would just take time. There are parts in my project where I have felt that. I've been like, okay, this is my possible hypothesis. We've tested it. No, it's not that. Okay, we've tested this. No, it's not that. And then finally you reach, like, the no's are also like, okay, convincingly, this is not it. And then finally you reach a point where, yes, this is it. And then all of it makes perfect sense. Great, right? No. And then yes.
Yeah.
But majority of it is like, I don't know what this result means.
Right, exactly. And also specialization, that's another thing that I've been thinking of. Like, because I like to be jack of all trades. I would touch everything. Oh, this also sounds fun.
Don't touch everything.
Try out. But then that is giving me a lot of knowledge, but not enough confidence in the fact that I know this. Because you cannot know everything. You can only know some things to some detail. But like if you really delve down into a few things, again, mastery. Yeah. So we'll try that and see how that feels like.
Sounds good. Good place to end it at, I think. Let's try more mastery, which is what resourcefulness, this whole episode was even about in some ways, right? It's like just do the thing, get better at it, see where it takes you.